Facepalm America, I'm Beowulf Rockland. FacepalmAmerica.com is where you can find out more about the show, listen to past episodes, connect with us on social media, all that good stuff. This week, as always, we have with us Susanne Posel, the host of This Week Again, which is an excellent, humorous, progressive compendium of the events of the week. Suzanne, how's it going?
It is going. How about you?
It's going pretty well. What have I been doing this week? My gosh. There have been so many things going on, like so much stuff in the news, and I've been dipping in and out of it, doing a lot of work, setting up new clients for my business, and then coming back and just continuing to shake my head at the ridiculousness of things in general, and I was very glad to see that Bernie Sanders was sticking it to. I wish he could do more to actually impact what they're doing, but certainly publicly sticking it to drug company CEOs. And
that is always a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful. What would be even more beautiful, and I know they're working on it because I know that they are actually forcing them to negotiate, at least for Medicare, drug prices for the top most used pharmaceutical drugs in America. But I don't think we realize all the time as Americans just how screwed up our system is relative to the rest of the world. Because
the rest of the developed world.
Yeah. like basically these companies know that they can get away with charging exorbitant prices for drugs because they have bought off most of the people who would regulate them. And and as a result, we pay an incredible amount more than like any other nation in the world. They just go over the border, as a lot of people do, to Canada to try to get drugs, and it's so much cheaper. My God.
For example, go back to, because when you showed me the story, immediately I thought EpiPen.
Yeah.
2015. Do you guys remember 2016?
I do.
So we were arguing about EpiPen, and we had the CEO, the company who makes it, speaking to Congress. Mm-hmm. And for example, an EpiPen in the United States costs $300. In Canada, it's $100. In the UK, it's $38.
Yeah. And aren't they?
That tells you that just for a moment. That tells you how much it actually costs to make. If the UK can purchase it for $38, I'm telling you, folks, it's probably like $10 to make.
Yeah, and they're charging us $300, and that was almost 10 years ago. Wasn't a member of the Manchin family involved in that? Weren't they the CEO of that company, or am I misremembering that?
Manchin is actually an oil baron and still runs that company, or is involved in the company. Okay. And he makes laws, or used to make laws for oil companies.
Okay, all right, different form of corruption, but it's.
But it's still the same. It's the same problem. Yeah. Lobbying shouldn't be a thing. It's bribery. If any of us did it, it would be bribery.
Yeah, I've often fantasized about the idea of just sending parachuting troops onto K Street or something like that to impose martial law on K Street. I think that would be, I just have this vision. I know that you can't actually do it, but it's so ridiculous, the amount of control that big companies have over Washington, D.C., and all the processes that go along there. And we just kind of nod our heads most of the time and go through our days and act as if it's a perfectly normal thing, because we don't hear anybody on the news say act as if it's a terrible thing. And then, like in a break during the news, you hear them cut to a commercial for a pharmaceutical company. So you kind of get to understand why that's the case. And I think just so many people are dissociating from that situation and getting more and more cynical about it. They understand that there's not much that they as individuals can do, but I think they're spending more and more time getting together and collaborating to find solutions. And it seems to be like coming up in terms of the response to what's going on in Gaza, because it's just so patently obvious in the face of mass death, and people can feel that others like them respond in the same way, and there seems to be like something that they can get together and agree, yeah, this is insane. Why are we doing this? Why are we helping this? And I think that's going to grow more and more, and it will spill into areas which are directly applicable to the everyday lives of Americans. And I certainly hope that happens with drug prices, because like the entire private health insurance structure in this country just is such a massive scam. And if you look at what is happening with, I like to call it Medicare Disadvantage, but Medicare Advantage.
Oh, that is a scam.
It's just
it's
awful.
You're trying to get on state assistance or state medical if you can't play the premiums game, and the Advantage plans are a taxpayer funded premiums game.
Yeah.
So you are getting a higher premium. You are paying out more out of pocket, just like you would if you were going through your employer. And your tax dollars is going to pay for that as well. So it's coming out of your pocket twice. It's a complete scam.
Yeah, and then they deny coverage as frequently as they can in order to make more profit for their shareholders, the companies that operate these little Medicare fiefdoms. And now I think like just as of the last year or two, like a majority of the people who have Medicare are not actually on real original Medicare. They're part of a what is a private insurance plan that is nominally Medicare Advantage, but that doesn't really mean anything because it has none of the guarantees that an actual Medicare plan do. I have experienced members of my family have, we were looking up what was covered when something was denied, and yeah, if they had actual Medicare, it would have, the coverage would have been extended for the service that they were receiving for like, I think it was like 180 days, and it ended up being like 30 days. And that's where they save the money, in the difference between what is supposed to be covered and what is actually covered. That's where they get their money. They are essentially stealing it from us. They are extracting it from us by refusing to provide the services which are supposed to be provided. And they're stealing it from the elderly, they're stealing it from the poor, they're stealing it from the sick. And it's thoroughly disgusting. It's just thoroughly disgusting to me.
It is. But we call it lobbying. So it's okay. Yeah. And part of the problem is the way that we run things. When I was a kid, I was just thinking about this today. Reagan and Nancy, and Ronald were president, and hearing that he called his wife mother, it didn't really hit until I was older and he had passed away, and I saw how dependent he was on her. And so I thought maybe it wasn't a term of endearment. Mm-hmm. It might have been an insight into their relationship. Yes. Which, is weird and gross, and I don't want to know that. But to our point, we now have a situation where we have people in office long past their prime. Yes. If they were in the workforce, they would have been forced to retire.
Well, that's an interesting thing that you say. I like people are working longer and longer because they're desperately afraid of how they're going to get by from day to day. But you're certainly correct that there's certain people who could do very well and relax in a very nice house in Kentucky or Delaware, or Ohio. No, not Ohio. Iowa. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, I know. And look what happened for goodness sakes with Dianne Feinstein.
Oh, way past.
Oh
Her
my
daughter
God.
was in charge of her estate. Her daughter was running her mother's finances and basically managing her mother's life while this woman
Mhm.
was serving
Yeah.
in our Congress. And we didn't get some votes because she was in the hospital. She
Yeah.
didn't even know towards the end what she was there to do
Yeah.
or what
Yeah.
day it is. And like what happened with the revelation of the year-long investigation into Biden having those classified documents, the gentleman who wrote the report for the DOJ took it upon himself to be liberal and use adjectives and
Yeah.
adverbs, much in the way Comey did when he came out with his report on Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And of course, Fox News can't say, well, we can all agree that no one should have classified documents
Right.
because,
Right.
anyway.
And
So,
I know it's a biased. It is a totally biased report. And furthermore, the bottom line is that the way in which Biden handled classified documents is completely a different situation than what Trump did. Trump deliberately went out of his way to hide them, and Biden had a memory lapse. But the basic language that he's using around Biden, although it's biased and it's designed to stir up stuff and make people think about his age, but honestly, these are things which resonate with people and what they experience and what they see on television. And I just wish that Joe could step aside and let someone else do it, because I think he's done some positive things, and I think it is very important in order to defeat Donald Trump that we have someone who is fully capable of taking him on in the most aggressive way possible and focus. Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. That's fine with me. And I don't agree 100% with Kamala either. But she would be.
I don't. But she would take him on, and she would wipe the floor with him.
Yeah,
and I would love to see that. I would pay to see that.
And you know what makes me think that would be the case is remembering her interaction during the Supreme Court nomination hearings. She shone during those. What I believe it was Kavanaugh. It was probably Gorsuch also. But she, as someone, as a prosecutor, as someone who knows how to think on their feet and ask persistent questions and confront your opponent. She is someone that shines. I mean, you can't unless you're a Dick Cheney type. You can't shine as a vice president unless you're willing to step into the dark side.
Or shoot your friend in the face. I don't know.
Or shoot your friend in the face. It's amazing to me, by the way, that Dick Whittington, I think was his name. He's passed on finally. I don't know whether the cause was related to the injury sustained by that hunting trip that he took with the vice president, but the vice president somehow is still alive, or at least
he has a robotic heart.
He has a robotic heart. If I don't know if he ever had any other kind, truly, but yes, he is still with us. Hobbling along somewhere and wishing that he could continue to exert influence on the political scene, which fortunately, at this point, he no longer seems to be able to.
And we got his daughter out. Well, we didn't. They actually ate her. They cannibalized her. Yeah. But, it's a good thing that she's out. Although most people will just remember how much she opposed Donald Trump, but please go back to her voting record.
She didn't, yeah.
That woman is not an ally.
No, she is not, and neither is George W. Bush, in spite of the fact, we have very short memories when it comes to things like that. Yeah, okay, just being against totalitarianism does not mean that